I'm going to talk with you a little bit about writing science, at least my personal experience with this. I'm going to speak in English because I know that some of you may not hear my video online are foreigners, so try to be nice. And I know for those of you that are PhD students and of course, and also for other master students, writing may be difficult. I know because I have it, but also difficult for me when I start writing. So when we are in this process of writing, we have okay. We have some difficulties along the way, and the first difficulty is ourselves. For many of you, I believe that when you are looking to a page and you spend days sometimes looking to the blank page, starting to do the first sentence of introduction, sometimes it's really days, and you try to want to write the best, the perfect sentence, but it doesn't happen. Well, just move to another one. It's like that lines. And then you have your colleagues that sometimes ask, oh, let's go for a drink, or let's go outside, collaborate also with this right process. Then you have a supervisor's phones. When it goes to a supervisor, it's really problematic because all the corrections that they feedback to you are full of red and yellow and green, all changes up and down, and you don't understand very well what's going on. Then once you submit your article, you have the editor. The editor is not easy. Sometimes just say, no, reject it because it doesn't make sense in my journal. So go to another. If you have, like, you can go to the reviewers, and the reviewer may be nice or not. It's also another difficulty that you have along the way. And sometimes you go back to the editor, you go back to reviewers, you go back to the editor. Well, it's sometimes long process that takes more than weeks, more than months, sometimes years. So before starting about writing article, I need to be used from the grammar. You need to know that scientists do not only write papers, they write many more other things, and each one of them you have different rules, you have different ways of writing. I'm talking today only about the scientific papers, we are going to focus on this. But you have CVs that most of you for sure already wrote, you have grants, reports, proposals, web pages, conference, well, a lot of different things. And you can check online, there's a lot of information about all of these things. I will leave some reference about this, and you have specific writing, let's say, ways for each one of these topics. So before starting, I want to know what motivates you to publish. I believe you already know this. It's mainly the platform, which you can just screen this code and share and because I want to know why you want to write, why are you here today? Or if you cannot tell me to do this, you can go make a .com and just put the code that is there. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's see. What motivates you to publish? Graduation, scores, knowledge, progress, CV, conhecimento, to share my achievements, innovation, to improve my CV, recall, my opportunities, a lot of things. Many of you said PhD degree or master degree, funding, promotion, or something. Talk about this, but you need to be very careful when saying these things or thinking these things, because actually, editors, reviewers, and the research community does not really care about your PhD degree, about you getting a master, about you getting a PhD. What they care, what's really important, is the work itself. Is the work good? Is it contributing to something? Is it contributing to society? Is it well done? With rigor, a lot of, well, all these details that you need to take into account. This is very important. You need to think about that, not only in yourself. When you publish, you need to think into the world, society, okay? So I need to apologize now because most of the examples that I will give during my presentation, they are related with chemistry because I'm a chemical engineering, okay? So I don't have many examples about other fields, so most of them are about, but don't worry, we're not going to talk about chemistry, we're not going to talk about thermodynamics, that is even worse. It's just some examples, the journals and so on, they'll be mostly about chemistry because it's the field I'm not an expert in scientific writing like you think it's yourself, because you have people that are actually just experts at that and they know a lot of things, everything. About what is this of scientific writing articles? Okay, I'm going to be method, so we are just changing my manual. So publishing, according to the definition, is one of the necessary steps that are included in the scientific research process, such as the channel for disseminating findings to the wider academic community. And of course, it's very necessary when you are trying to graduate, to achieve your master's thesis or PhD, and for career progression. We should publish everything that's on digital, methods, results, reviews, summaries of particular subject, manuscripts that advance knowledge that are good for society, and we should not publish things that have no interest, things that are out of date, because sometimes we did a thing a long time ago and then we have to publish, but then it doesn't make sense anymore, so we should forget about this. If there was a moment, well, it's sad, but it's life. And we should try to avoid the duplicate and try to avoid the publishment of the duplicated things. But you do a literature review. You should check for sure when you are starting writing, you already know a lot about your subject. So when you're preparing to write something, you should conduct an in-depth literature review to understand what is for the field. Then you should select the journal a priori. I know many people do not do this, me included. We select the journal at the end, but this is because we already know, okay? We already have 10, 15 journals where we usually publish. We know them very well, we know the process very well, so we already know what to select. But when we are starting, it's good that you talk with your supervisors if you are a PhD student, undergraduate, and try to see which journal are you going to publish, because this will have impact on your publication. And you will need to change a lot of things based on the journal that you are selecting people with your publication. So you need to check the potential journals, and then you check the journal scope, the impact factor, the audience, publication process, and the guidelines and the requirements for that specific journal. Tip for you, if you try to design your study before starting writing, so you try to see from the beginning to the end what is the main purpose, to have a light to help you, and this actually helps a lot. I will tell you, I'm working in chemistry field, but I was 1 year working in the Institute of Plant Genetics, and it's nothing about my topic. I was extremely lost at this place. And when the time arrived to write my first draft, my first manuscript, I was very scared. I didn't know how to start because it was totally different from my field. So I told my supervisor at the time, okay, help me here, let's sit together. And he told me, okay, this is the story I want to follow later, but this is how you should write it. And we put some topics from the beginning to the end about through this process of writing. So you should, if you are not very confident about how you are planning your writing process, you should try to design your study. Facing a lot of problems with my computer, I don't know what's happening. So starting for the literature review, you should try to refine your search, because I guess for most of you or for many of you, when you start searching a specific topic, you get totally lost. You find information, articles, books, and at some point you're like, oh my God, what to do, what to use. I started talking about orange, and now I'm reading about monkeys, so you get lost on the process, it's true. So try to refine your search, and this design of your study helps you with this as well. So you have books. They are not outdated, but your library is still a good place to go. But if you like more to be in your computer, you can also find a lot of books online that are free. You can use Google or Best Friend, you can use Google Scholar, you can use Science Direct, Web of Science, or other platforms, and then you can refine your search. You can try to narrow your searches. There are a lot of tips that you can find online to do this. For example, here a nice example is that use of the where you can type, for example, not really from here, but you can type, for example, April, red, orange, would find documents where April appears before orange with no more than 3 words in between. So when you have big, for example, me and Aline will work with activity coefficients and infinite dilution. That's a big word. But sometimes it appears infinite dilution activity coefficients. So it's opposite, but it's exactly the same thing. So by using these options, you can find these because we want to use the commas, we want to use these when you are searching, and by using this, it will help you find all the articles that you want. Regarding the journal selection, you need to look for your reference, the reference that you already found about this topic that you are trying to search. And these will help you to narrow your choices. So see where are the authors publishing, the authors of your reference. You have a look on them, you see where they publish, and you can try to see if they that journals fit your research as well. Then you can ask yourself some questions. Is the journal reviewed to the right level? The review means that when it wants to submit your paper, we already talked about this in a few minutes, it will go to some external reviews that are totally non-related with the journal, not related with you. So they are just quite random, and they will review your journal and they will give feedback. And it's upon the decision of that reviews that it will be accepted or not accepted. So what type of articles does the journal publish? Maybe you have a review, and if they don't accept reviews, it's not the right place for your article. What's the journal audience, the backpack, or special metrics? Is it open access? It's very important nowadays. It's totally different stuff, nothing. The same topic, but it's a new, we can discuss hours about this, but it's also a good thing nowadays for a long time. Be careful with some predatory journals that are there. I know you already received emails to publish here and there, and you go and see that journals do not exist or they are just not very good. And for big advice, do not gamble. That's when you are going to two places at the same time. Okay. They do not. Trust me, they do not. It's very good for you as a researcher. So by designing your study, firstly, you choose what type of manuscript you are going to publish. There are different types. Full articles are normal documents, looking at letters, communications, case reports, review papers, perspective, and so on. You create the text that is outline that we spoke before, and then you think about the logical flow of your art. And we are going now to move to the article preparation. So, main things about the article preparation. You create a folder. A very beautiful folder in your computer to store everything that you are going to create. You are going to have a lot of reference, trust me. Then you write the story like that you already did while preparing for the manuscript. You make a list of figures. I know almost no one does this, but this is very important. If you make a list of figures, because most of the articles have figures, of course there are some that not, but most of the articles have figures. If you make a list of figures before, and if you prepare these figures if possible before, because you already have results, we are assuming that you prepare the figures, it will be much easier for you than to write and to construct your manuscript. Then you write your results. This is how you should theoretically of it. I know that in practice it's very different. Then you write the introduction. In my case, I like to write it first, that's why I put some brackets. Then you write the discussion. Sometimes it's together with the results, sometimes it's separated, depends on the journal. Then you write the abstract. And the last thing is to write the title. I know who write the title here? No one. It's the first thing you do is try to give a very good title for your article, right? But according with the experts, you should do it in the end. And then you have a little title, very beautiful, so your article. So general rules for article preparation. Maintain an objective and formal tone. Use an active voice. It's very important. Be clear and concise. No one, readers, editors, and viewers, no one wants to read the same over and over and over again. A big article doesn't mean that it's only one. You should be concise. Try to say things very clear and like straight. And try to avoid ambiguity and vague language. Overloading introduction with text and neglecting the importance of the research. So let's start by the title. Some tips for title. Ensure the title is clearly reflects the content of the paper. Include relevant words for its researchability because it's not only writing the paper that matters, what citations are right. So people need to find your art. If you are talking about roses, you are not going in your title something else that is not related to the art, because you want people to find them, right? And the title sparks, that sparks students. So I have here 3 examples for you from internet, essentially, but yeah, they are enough. And I want you to tell me if they are good titles or not. About the first one. I love there with the words. It's too long, too long, a lot of weird things on. Well, I would say that it's not a very good title. What about the second one? Quite a wonderful. Microplastics preventing snow from wells to the Arctic. Good, right? This sparks curiosity. I like to read that one. 3. And last one. A rose is a rose is a rose equals. But exactly what is a gastric and then a personal? What's the connection here? Maybe there is one, but I mean, I cannot understand, so I'll say that it's not a very good one. This is my opinion. Then the abstract. Well, it should provide a brief overview of the research objectives, methods, findings, and conclusions. Should also include keywords, again, for people to find the article, and it should accurately present the main content and findings of the page. So it's a summary of everything. Many people only read your abstract. Title, good, so let's go for abstract. Sometimes conclusion, and sometimes it's really related, and you'll go into the article. But most of the time, it's your conclusion and essay. So we want to give a very good impression. I have here what I consider a bad example of an abstract, because I can give the presentation in can read the detail after. The background is over the extension, they speak a lot about the same thing. Then they have almost a full paragraph, again explaining what is foreign and direct investment. So instead of going into the results and making conclusions, they speak again about some kind of theoretical topic. And in the end, again, they highlight project of study that they did before with that one in the middle. So that's not really the point of one abstract. So you should have something like this. It's a very good example. You have a general background, you have a specific background, you have a knowledge gap, here to show whatever they did, a part about the results, and in the end, an implication of the results. So you can say implications in this one. It's a very nice example. Regarding the introduction, so you should provide a brief overview of the topic, brief, not speaking about all the articles that are published in the subject, okay? You then and then you will state research objectives, series of questions. So if you notice, most of the articles they finish with like, we are going to do, there is this gap, and we are going to do this and this. So this is a good example. It's just parts of one So you have a general background, then you have a specific background, then you have the knowledge gap and why readers should care, and here to show whatever we are going to do in this one. The methodology, this is one of my favorite parts. The methodology is the purpose of the section is to describe the knowledge gap posed on the introduction, how it was answered, and what we do to answer that question then in the results. So in chemistry, you need to look at the chemicals, the procedures, the instruments used, and so on. The other areas is something else, like the software. We need to provide only the necessary details so someone can do exactly the same that we did without many details. I know that sometimes we want more details because we are not getting the same that they did, but well, you can always contact the authors. By the way, there is always a corresponding author. You know what that means? It's not because it's the most important person in the article. It's because you can contact that person. That's why the email is in the article, and you can contact if you have any questions about the article. That's the point of the corresponding author. Or it could be theoretical. And this is a good example also of methodology. So you have methods described, you have standard methods that are used and changes made, and then you have the details that are necessary then for the publication. Important note, you should not write something like, we process the samples with standard DNA extraction protocols. You should avoid this. You should say, samples were processed with standard DNA. No one wants to see, I did it, it was there. Okay? The results. The results you present, well, the results from the figures, tables, you try to explain what's there from the results in a very flow. You should put there everything that really matters to the article, everything that is like, it's important but not really important to be there, it's supporting information. That's why you have supporting information. You don't overload the article information that is not really important. So some bad examples of results. Look at this figure. Does it tell us? No. I mean, I can say that in a language, freedom. So, no point. What about this non-C? These are not very nice. And this one. That description of the figure. This is a nature journal. Nature, not nature, right? It's one of the most, like the Holy Grail of journals for history. And this is the star. This is a video of sideways. So this is the supporting information, handwritten, with over 700 pages. I'm not joking. I open it. It's over 700 pages, handwritten. But I know it's NMR, solid state NMR, it's very complicated, but come on. So, the discussion. You should interpret the results, you should compare the literature results, you should try to comment, discuss implications, discuss limitations, and also I could here give an example of results where they go through all of these and really analyze in detail. That these analyses are not from me, of course, but I will give you the link where you can find all these analyses and you can also try to study a little bit about how properly write this. Conclusion, very, very important. Like I mentioned, because when you are reading an article and understand nothing, you say, okay, let's see what they conclude. If there is nothing to conclude, you will say lost of time, right? So, summarize the findings, suggest areas for future research, and reinforce the importance of the study. Here, an example, not is just a model, for example, that about this conclusion part. And then you have the reference that should be well written. You should reference everything that matters. You should not have 1,000 references in your paper, but you should put the reference that really you need to support what you are writing. And you have, of course, we know a lot of softwares that you can use, platforms that you can use to calculate this reference. So you don't need to do manual anymore. With the two parts, that's very easy to do that. And most of them are free. I like very much when there are no others. Before submission, check again the submission guidelines. This is extremely important. I'm going to show you why in a second. But if you type the name of your journal and submission guidelines, you will see exactly what they want, because there are specific rules for publication. This is from ACS Sustainable Chemistry Engineering. I didn't publishing this one, that's why I know these guidelines. Sorry. And for example, for this one, for title, you have a limit of 20 words. For abstract, you have 150 to 200 words. They do not break the abstract into sections. And this one is very interesting. For introduction, you need to have fewer than 20 references. So first time I published in this journal, I didn't know any of these. So I submit my paper and I had 50 references in introduction. And then I need to decrease for 20. So that was very annoying because I didn't know. No one told me before, so I just submitted. And then I was like, because no one told me, okay, refuse because you have 50 references in your introduction. But then I checked and I said, no, I can pay. And they have a few more about the word count. In this case, for example, for normal articles, I think it's 6,000 word counting that they want. And people, stables, and so on, without counts as word equivalents. So what's we typically do in specific one, because 6,000 words is not much, is that we put, for example, the experimental section all in supporting information. We just leave a small line with things that are very, very important and say everything else is in supporting information. And so we reduce a lot because experimental section can be very, very long. I already broke my computer. So now we have an exercise. This is about shoes. Do you see there's something strange? Here, right? Shoes. No, really? No one? What about that? Here is a possible introduction for your topic. Oh! Who tells this? You saw this before, no? Are you afraid?
No, ChatGPT.
Of course. It is a possible introduction for your topic. But it's about shoes. Who cares, right? No one cares. What about here? Do you see something strange there? This is published. I'm not lying.
This is a possible introduction for your topic.
Certainly, here is a possible introduction for your topic. First word of the introduction, first sentence of the introduction. This is published in Surface and Interface from Institute. It's a very good journal, actually. I don't know, maybe some of you publish there in the future. This, I'm not lying, this is published. I'm not going to tell you which one is it. I also put in the bit blur, but this is actually published. So the author didn't notice, the supervisors didn't notice, the co-workers didn't notice, the editors didn't notice, the reviewers didn't notice, the editorial interpreter in the end, the proof didn't notice, and it's published. So let's talk about the elephants in the room. ChatGPT or AI in general, the man best, the man's best friend. Is it? I mean, there are opinions on it, but my opinion is the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. And this is from Star Wars episode 1. No, okay. Personal opinion, I know maybe you have some different opinions. If you want to use it, why not? I mean, it's part of Google. Get information from it, but you need to be smarter than ChatGPT. And you need to have common sense. Okay, this is very, very important. So ask something you want to know, but analyze the information and be critical about it. That's the most important thing, I guess. We cannot trust everything it tells you. So let's go for article submission. What do you need to have, or what do you have by now? You have your manuscript. You also have the information if applicable. Sometimes you don't need a supporting information. You need to write a cover letter. That is a letter you write to the editor, like a really letter. Dear editor, we are submitting our paper here for publication in Journal X. The reasons why we believe that this that suits your journal is because that. Okay, so you need to convince the editor that your manuscript fits that journal, and at least in the field of chemistry, the journals that we publishing, you always need to suggest reviewers. Usually 3 reviewers, sometimes 5. And you can also suggest reviewers that you don't want to review your paper. So you can say reviewers that you want to submit and reviewers that you don't want to submit. Well, then to analyze your work. Because you have some interest, because you have some prototype, as you know. So yesterday I entered in the SES platform. I just did some print screens to show you more or less how is the process. Okay, it depends on the journal to journal, on the editor to editor. This one specifically is in the American Chemical Society. So you need to register yourself. You need to log in, yeah, of course. You need to remember the password, it's also important. But I didn't. Then you choose your journal from the list. Then you go. You need to select what's the type of journal that you are going to read. It's an article, a letter, like to the editor, the perspective, then you type the title, you type the abstract, Sometimes you have specific invitations for special issues. It's here where you select also the special issue that you are going to submit into. Then you go for the file upload, and you upload all the files. There are some that are mandatory, of course, like the script itself. It's very important. Then you need to put, if you are submitting yourself or someone is submitting from you, you put the select draft, institution, and so on. Then you need to put the reviews, and sometimes in some journals you also need, or you can select the editor that you want to check your paper. Okay? So because you have the editorial team is quite big, you have the boss, then you have several associated editors, and they get different like expertise, and you can select the one that is most appropriated in your work. Doesn't like the reviewers and the editor doesn't mean that they are going to accept what you suggest, but you need to suggest. You can suggest. Then you can type the cover letter or the file, and then put the file. Also very important. I think that you have an important process. And in the end, you review everything and you submit. Mine is full of red things because I did it. I know that most of for master for sure, but for PhD, you are not the one doing this process. Your supervisors or older researchers are doing this. But my suggestion is if you can try to ask at least to see when they are submitting the paper, so you get at least familiarize with the process of submitting an article. And one day, if it's your time, you don't get lost and you know more or less how to do it. I think my first time I was with someone, an older researcher, he was helping me, and I was submitting the paper. Hey, we're almost there. You submit your paper, nice. Now we are going to the revision process. And this is the scheme of the revision process of the American Chemical Society. That is what they share. So you submit your paper, you have an initial check by the editorial office. Usually they are not very, they are not of your field, so they are just checking everything else there. Because they need to do a lot of permissions and the set things and so on. Then you go, your manuscript passes the editor-in-chief evaluation, does a press script, and he can automatically reject your paper if he thinks that it doesn't suit your journey. If you are good, you go then to the associated editor. And these associated editors are the persons that are actually experts in the field, more or less, that you are, that your manuscript is about. They can also reject your paper automatically, or they can send them for peer review. So they send for experts, usually can be 2, 3, sometimes 4, and they will evaluate your paper. They are external persons from outside the journal, they are not related, or they should not be related, and they send invitations, and they have to review the specific paper, and they will criticize your paper. Good and bad. Then they send, they say they send the provision to the associate editor, and then they reject, accept, or revise. Usually it's revised, so you go with the provisions they ask. You go back to the review, you go back to the associate editor, and then sometimes you go back to everything. And sometimes it's rejected because passing this first part is the needed to accept. Another thing, it's happening a lot lately, is the tertiary manuscript. Sometimes they reject, but they don't fully reject. They say that your manuscript will be more interesting for another journal from the same, for SAS, for example, as well, but for another journal, and then offer you this option to transfer. Again, you need to pass all the process, but it will help you with this transfer in that step. So, the editor's choices again, accept solutions. Well, this is very rare, it's like only part, so it's very rare that you get that. I never saw this. But most probably it happens sometimes, but it's very rare. Usually, or what you like to move, you would like to have is minor revisions. So you have a little chances to do your manuscript. Usually something very easy, some formats sometimes to clarify something that was not very well. It's very easy to do this in 1 or 2 days and you go and it's fine. And then you can have major revisions, and they can be good. Sometimes it requires a lot of things, like the pages of revisions, that's not a lot. And then it goes. But sometimes they ask you for experimental work, they ask you to do a lot of things that you don't agree, you can't do sometimes because you don't have the phone, the chemistry, for example, or you don't have the equipment anymore, you are in another place. So a lot of things can happen. And in this case, you can also decide not to revise the manuscript. You can also and you write to the editor, you say you want it, and you can submit in another manuscript. But first you need to withdraw the manuscript and then you receive it. And you can have a verified submission. If they say no, it's not good, they can suggest with transfer or just say you should be very careful when they say. You can revise the manuscript if you think that you can do it, and you can submit to another journal. You also always have a choice. Some helpful tips about reviews. You read it very bad. Always tell us like this to get very bad. Usually I read that in my phone and I say, no, oh no way, I'm not going to do this, but it doesn't know anything about it. So you wait 24 hours, you go home, you sleep well, the next day you reread it. Really. Just next day you reread it and they think, oh, he's right. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. So you reread and then you start to understand the person. If you don't understand very well, you can discuss with your collaborators, you can discuss with your colleagues, you can discuss even with your family if you think that they may be tough. And then you need to prepare a point by point. If everything they say, you need to answer like they ask, you need to answer. Say, yes, I agree, or yes, I don't agree, or I'm very politely, of course, and always with that formal tone, and try to do the best you can, always. If they say, well, if you can, you will need to do. Because the reviewer is not right, even if he's not right. Alex. You know what? A friend of mine once received a review that was not about her paper, it was about something else. And even so, she had to say, yeah, but this is not really related with my paper, but okay, thank you very much for your comments, but maybe you send this to the right paper, because it wasn't, well, it was some kind of confusion. Important also, you cannot forget that reviewers, they are not paid to review your papers. So they are making you a favor. I know you want your paper accepted, but they are not paid to this job. And I do this a lot, and I think Professor did this a lot, and maybe some of you also do this, because when you usually doing your PhD, you start to receive reviews to help with reviews. And you are not getting paid for that. No one knows you are doing that because it's confidential. So for us, it's just free work. But we are taking time to do revision of your work because we want to contribute to science, we want to help, and we are doing our best every time we can. So please be polite with the reviewers. Okay? So this kind of revise and revise. This process of revise and revise can take a while, can take months, it can take years. I have a paper of the revisions since last year, like more than a year already. I submitted 2 or 3 times. It happens to everyone, okay? Don't get scared because it's just sometimes a very long process. And one day you receive this beautiful email. Supervisor received this email saying your paper is being accepted to publications. Happiest day of your life, or at least of that week. You have to get very, very happy. But that's not the end of the process, because usually a few weeks after, you receive the proofs. The proofs that they send you your paper in a final Word, usually, or in your platform, where you need to correct everything that may be wrong. So usually they mess up with like the letters, Greek letters, with some table numbers, with some keyboard colors that change when they are trying to do the final format. You need to be very careful revise everything. But you cannot do drastic changes. I mean, you can do some little changes. You need to answer queries that are usually questions about are the authors correct? Are the applications correct? Are the queries correct? You just say yes or no, make the appropriate changes. And then, well, success. your article is published, you are free, not really need to write one. You have always an improvement. Yeah. So this process of writing an article starts with a web page, actually content to write. It can take years sometimes. You have deep revisions, you have an open version, but in the end you have final got the score one, score to final. Yeah. There is no one, just one final. Sometimes you have several submissions. Submission to journal X, submission to journal Y. But finally, we did it. Well, I will read some, what I think are some useful resources that I use during this presentation. The first one is very nice. There is the link for it. It's a page of like a blog where you can find advice about books, about blogs and podcasts, webinars, resources for teaching, software tools as well, apps that you can install without writing. I thank you very much PhD Comics because I love to use, I don't know if you know it, because most of my comics are from PhD Comics, they do an amazing job. And I also recommend ComKit and this is that they are very good at their very nice information. And all the reference will be in my presentation. And that's all. Thank you very much.